When it comes to injustice, it's no laughing matter. Here's your look at the new Hiya toys. This is the Injustice 2, the Joker. Exquisite Mini is a new standard setting series for 1/18th scale, featuring super articulation action figures from the folks over at Hiya Toys. Very first thing we're going to do to get this review underway is measure off to the very top of Injustice 2 Joker. I'd also like to send out a big thank you to the folks over at Hiya Toys who were nice enough to provide the samples for the pieces that we're going to be having a look at. According to the Ultra Measure-Tron 5000, the name of my trusty tape measure, the height of Injustice 2 Joker stands 4.2 inches in height. And in centimeters, that works out to be 10.7, a little over 10.5 centimeters tall. Seeing me review enough of these, certainly on this channel, you'll probably be recognizing this display stand. It so happens to be the exact same stand that we've gotten with all of our Injustice 2 figures. This really nice metallic purple stand with some kind of engravings here. It's not supposed to be anything that you're supposed to interpret as wording, simply just the flooring in which the figure is going to be standing on top of. There is one peg. You probably can barely make it out until I tilt it up on its side. You can see a little peg right there, and the figure is going to attach to. Speaking of attaching, also included with the figures and all of the figure cases, you get yourself these capital I's. No, they're not simply just for spelling impossible, or in this case, Injustice 2. They're actually for the means of attaching multiple stands together. I don't have a multiple stand right now to attach this to, but sure enough, while we are having a look at the rest of the Injustice figures, those little connection eyes will connect all the bases together. So if you want to have more than one scene spread out, a battle of multiple heroes and villains, then the idea of connecting these stands together is a really neat idea that Hiya Toys have incorporated. The next thing we'll have a look at is the accessories that come included with the Joker. Sad news, unfortunately, to report, somehow between the beginning of the opener in this review and to where we are right now, I have misplaced the crowbar. Joker would have included a crowbar along with all the other things that he comes included with, but like I said, I don't know whereabouts it fell. You would imagine it would be about this size. So for the start of this review, just imagine that in between my pointer and my thumb, no, it's not Joker's torso, it would be the crowbar. So if I can find that, rest assured, we'll re-examine that if I manage to find it. What I was still able to retrieve and have not lost yet, knock on wood, no, nobody's at the door, we do get ourselves the pistol that Joker does wield. Sort of the elongated, stretched out barrel of this particular revolver kind of reminds me of the Joker from the '89 Batman movie that pulls out this very long, long pistol and fires it off at the Batwing. Again, it's a really small trinket. If you're not careful, you're guaranteed to lose a lot of these things, because after all, if this is going to be a 3 3/4 inch size figure, everything as well with that is shrunk down to size. I'll show you how the pistol fits into his hand in a second. We'll just put that right over there. Also in the category of really, really small items, Joker comes included also with his knife. Seems as if the camera does not want to agree with me in this go-around. The knife itself actually is fairly painted. They've even put in this little copper plate right at the edge, right where the blade starts to begin. Again, all of this can be wielded in Joker's hands. I'll talk about that in a second as well. And I'm surprised of all the things that I didn't manage to lose, I didn't lose yet the playing cards. A stack of what seems to be 4 cards fanned out, and it seems all of them, I almost dropped it right there, seems like all of them are Joker cards. The other side actually does have what I thought initially was the suit of the cards. I think in fact is actually the top of the card. So they're not all 10 of diamonds. The big indicator as well is that diamonds generally are red. They're not black. So he does come with those as well. Very, very small. Be careful you don't lose these. Also, I thought I almost lost one of these. He comes with a series of interchangeable hands, a total of 4 hands. And again, if you're not careful, you're going to probably lose these. So just put those to the side. Let me show you, by the way, how you can put the hands onto Joker. We'll just rotate his arm just for a second and bend it just for a bit. We're going to just wiggle the hand off. It's attached only by a very small peg. So whatever hand you decide to go with, say for example you want to display him with the gun hand, we'll just put that, wiggle that back into place. You want to make sure that you get it firmly on there, as certainly the last thing you would want to be doing is losing that in the process. You might even find it easier too to put the accessory into his hand and then put the hand onto the socket. See what I mean? Almost lost it. Fell on the floor. I was able to retrieve it. Just wiggle that back into place. And you've got Joker with the pistol. Probably my go-to, I think, if anything, when it comes to displaying the figure. The crowbar was a nice touch as well, providing I can actually find where that's located. You can see what I mean. Very small things. Even the hands are small and delicate. Again, you want to be careful that you don't misplace those. So with that all being said, I'm just going to move the accessories over. I'm going to keep a watchful eye on those and make sure I don't lose those. And we'll just put the hand back into place. Now, this particular Joker may not appease all fans of the Joker. The design of him is definitely very different than what we have gotten before. Injustice Joker is sort of a quasi, he very much looks like Leto's Joker, just with a longer bit of hair draping off to the side. Where I see a lot of Leto's Joker coming into play is the fact that he's got the ha splattered across his chest in blood. He is shirtless here, and he does have a long-tailed jacket. This is made up of a soft plastic. The face is actually pretty good on what, keeping in mind, is a smaller 3 3/4 inch version of Joker. That's not a bad-looking head sculpt based on its initial game design. Again, if you're not a big fan of the game design of Joker, you're probably not going to warm up to this figure anytime soon. He does have a little lapel flower on the one side there. Like I said, he does have the long-tailed jacket. A nice little added touch is that they dirtied the bottom portion, the bottom sections of his jacket as well. So it doesn't look the most clean and pristine. That's a nice touch there. I'm guessing that is his vest that he's folded down along with his suspenders, and those are draping down to the sides of his leg. He's got very spindly legs. This is a very skinny looking Joker. With the skinny legs, sort of becomes a bit of an issue with standing him. You might even feel compelled to probably want to heat the leg a little bit, because I did notice getting out of the packaging that the legs seemed a little on the warped side. Joker's got rather a stylish pair of very fancy, schnazzy shoes, and he does have peg holes on the undersides of his feet. So if you want to display him in a little bit more of a dynamic pose, it almost would be a good idea if they could have included a display stand. Oh, right, yes, they did. You can display him on top of that. I'm personally a big fan of this design of Joker. Not initially, though. I took me a little bit of getting into the Injustice 2 gameplay before I started finding myself warming up to this version of the Clown Prince of Crime. It's different, yes, but there's certainly enough of Joker elements there that I think it's still a neat-looking design for the character. From a standpoint of putting this guy down to a 3 3/4 inch, of course what suffers sometimes through that is the detailing to the face. This face sculpt I think is pretty good, all things considered. I think the paint's pretty good on this one as well. The fact that they were even able to put in pupils for such small eyes is quite the accomplishment, I must say. The hair itself is a combination of dark colors, more so in like a dark green, forest green, and then you've got a lighter green kind of mixed in with that. Again, it's a really interesting looking design for Joker. For his articulation, we'll go ahead and talk about that right now. His head rotates all the way around. It hinges up and down. I kind of like this particular look. Joker just kind of standing with his head down. I'll probably end up resulting in putting the revolver into his hand, or possibly the crowbar if I can actually find that. I kind of like the design of having him just kind of having it low down, where you're really only making out his smile. You can't quite see his eyes. Really like that look of that. But being that he does have the articulation that he does, means that you can pull off stuff such as that. He does also have the head rocker, which you can move back and forth as well. The shoulders hinge outward to about a 90-degree angle. You can move the arm forward and back. He does have a hinge in the elbow, which also allows the forearm to rotate. And be very careful, like I said, the hands do rotate, but being the way that they attach to the pegs, sometimes you don't feel like it has nearly enough attachment to it. The two aren't holding well enough together, that if you aren't careful twisting the hand, you might find yourself resulting in the hand just popping right off. And just make sure you're in a room where you're able to find that immediately. The upper torso is on a ball joint. You can rotate that back and forth. And the lower torso, right around his abdomen, also allows an upper torso ball joint. So you can move that around, tilt it back and forth, and hinge it up and down. One thing that the Hiya toy releases are really good for is the fact that they are quite superposable for such small scaled figures. The legs split out to about, well, you can't get a full splits happening with here with Joker, but you can get a fair bit of splitting on those legs. The legs move forward and back. You can swivel at the top cut of the thigh. He does have a double hinge on the knee, and he does also have articulation in the feet. You can rotate the feet back and forth and hinge them up and down. One thing I think this figure does do quite well is paint. Whether you like the Joker design or not, certainly the idea that they were able to put as much detailing in such a small piece like this, even right to the fact that they did airbrush areas on the back of his jacket, and even areas in his legs have some additional dark purple incorporated, especially around the bottom cuff section where they meet up with the feet. Again, I'm really happy with how this particular Joker was executed. That's probably a good term to be using for a character like the Joker. For final looks, we'll just go ahead. Prior to final looks, I should say, we'll just get the figure on his display stand. And again, really digging the look of this particular Joker. We've already got ourselves Harley Quinn, so when you do pick up the Joker for yourself, if you already had the Harley Quinn, it would be nice to kind of display them side by side, maybe having Harley Quinn draping herself on Mr. J, and providing I can actually find the crowbar, I think that would be my preferred look for displaying such a cool looking figure like this. Well, a 30-minute extensive search for that crowbar still turned up with no results. That's one of the downsides with the Exquisite minis. Sure, they're exquisite to look at, but everything about them is mini. The microscopic accessories can be lost quite easily on Joker, and I guess I really could paint that across the entire surface on all the Exquisite minis. All the accessories are intricate, but they're very, very small. So if you're not careful, you can blink and you'll lose one just like that. Kind of like what I did with the crowbar. It's ironic, the fact that I would lose the crowbar of anything. The crowbar was the largest of the accessories that come included with Joker. I thought, if anything, the fanned out deck of playing cards would have been the thing I would have lost. And knock on wood, so far so good. I'm looking at them right now. The Exquisite Mini Joker, the Injustice 2 Joker, is an interesting, different design for the Clown Prince of Crime. You can look at him, and based on his color palette and the fact that he's got all the notable traits of Joker, you know you're looking at a Joker figure, but then he's still a little bit different. Kind of like the Jared Leto Joker. Now that may not fancy everybody, and of course the smaller scale may turn off those that fancy their figures in a 6-inch or taller scale. The Exquisite Minis are really catering to collectors like myself that grew up with 3 3/4-inch figures like the G.I. Joes and like something small, intricate in a way that you can put on a shelf. I would suggest that this is a line that I would recommend more so to adult collectors. Yes, you could give them to kids, but based on the way that the hands plug into place, and if a hair trigger knocks those hands off, again, you're going to probably lose them. And for the nature that all the accessories are so small, I probably would recommend that this is a line that really is catered more towards adult collectors and not necessarily something towards kids. The packaging lists as 0 to 3, more so for choking hazard than anything else. I would add on to that, and maybe even add further to the fact that I would say that this is really a line that's geared towards adult collectors. The price point also for the Injustice 2 figures across the board for all the Exquisite minis that Hiya Toys release are also a premium price. They're not the kind of things that you would expect to find in retail stores. More importantly, you'll probably be stumbling onto this line in comic book stores and specialty stores. I definitely would say that if you're a fan of 3 3/4-inch figures, you're a fan of Injustice 2, and you're a fan of Joker, then this might be a piece that you may want to add to your collection. Again, a big thank you to the folks over at Hiya Toys who were nice enough to send this and a bunch of other exquisite minis my way, all of which we will be looking at in future reviews. If you guys managed to pick up this one for yourself, let me know down below in the comment section what you guys think of the exquisite mini Injustice 2 The Joker, or based on this review and this review alone. If you guys also want to go back and have a look at some of my other Hiya Toys reviews, there's a playlist for that. And make sure you hit that subscribe button to guarantee that when new videos, including new exquisite minis, are coming onto this channel, you won't be the person that's missing out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.